Thank you very much. I'd like to address this question beginning with candidate Bob Keller. Where do you stand on the possible annexation of unincorporated areas west of the I-5?
Where do I stand? Welcome.
Okay.
I recognize that there's some sensitivity and certainly there's some concerns with our friends on the other side of the 5. I've said this before, ladies and gentlemen. I think this city is the greatest city, and I'm so proud of what we've been able to accomplish. I honestly feel that we need to be one city in the Santa Clarita Valley. And I just openly tell you that. I don't want to see a circumstance that they have out in the Antelope Valley where you've got two cities grinding away at each other, and subsequently they both lose. That's my biggest argument. I'm not trying to deny anybody their future and what they want, but I really think they need to look at that carefully. Now, having said that, we can offer better services to those folks. We've proven it time and time again. We've had 27 annexations in the history of this city. 27. And, you know, folks, I haven't had any of those or heard any of those folks that have annexed into the city come back and say, you know what, time out, we changed our mind, we went out of there. Absolutely not. I will assure our friends on the other side of the 5, whatever areas wish to come in, they are going to be welcome, and they are going to be supported, and they're going to be a valuable member of this city. I hope that the one thing is that we do not find ourselves with a second city in the Santa Clarita Valley. We will all suffer. And I go back to something, and that is we do have a good working relationship with the county. I know, like I told you earlier, there's a couple little things we got to talk about, and annexation is certainly one of them. But I believe in the rights of the people to make their determination for the future, and let's see if we can't continue to work together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was candidate Bob Keller. I'd like to address the same question to candidate Bob Spear. Where do you stand on the possible annexation of unincorporated areas west of the I-5?
What a great question. I wish we had 20 minutes each to talk about it. I am absolutely in favor of it. However, let me say first and foremost that it is the people who live in that area who get to make that decision. I absolutely support their right to make that decision, and I wouldn't want to do anything to take any of that ability away from them. However, I agree with what Bob Keller said. First of all, the Antelope Valley is a perfect example of two cities fighting for the same resources. We talked about how sales tax really drives a great deal of what goes on in a city. When two cities get in competition for those same resources, they both end up losing because they discount what they get in order to get them in their city. We don't want to have to do that. I think there are plenty of reasons. The second thing is economies of scale. It's clear that if a city on the other side is duplicating the same services that are being done over here, and I don't mean just the performing of the different functions that government does, I mean the people who are involved in doing that, that what happens is you spend a lot more money on providing that same level of service. You've got 2 city managers, 2 planning directors, on and on and on. You combine those things and you can be a lot more cost effective. The revenue then provides money to enhance public safety, to enhance parks, to do all the things that we think are important to our way of life. I think that's extremely important. And last, let me say that another major factor is influence. Who is going to get listened to more? 2 separate cities of about 175,000, 180,000 people, or one of 360,000 people? I think it's important that we recognize that we can have a greater say in what happens in our valley, and it is our valley that we're talking about if we speak with a united voice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was candidate Bob Spear. I'd like to address candidate Diane Troutman and ask you, where do you stand on the possible annexation of unincorporated areas west of the I-5?
Well, I agree with the founders that all 200 square miles, 200 plus square miles, should have been incorporated as a city long ago. I think that when all is said and done, we will be one city, and we must be for a number of reasons, but there are also technical reasons that I don't believe we can successfully, if you would call it success, have 2 separate cities. One is that there was a law passed several years ago that will require any new city that wants to incorporate to pay essentially sort of alimony back to the county, which would be very difficult. And I do not foresee the area west of the 5 being able to finance a city. I don't think they'll have the infrastructure for it. But that said, we do have to create an open, active dialogue with people throughout the valley. We need to make people feel as though they have a voice in what's going on here, even if they don't live here. A lot of people do talk to me about city issues, but some people are hesitant. They don't realize what's offered. We certainly need to stress the great services that are available. But a lot of people who are just on the outskirts will say to me, where do we sign up? We want to annex. So a lot of people do want to be here. Let's create that dialogue. And actually, the other issue here, too, is that we're looking at a doubling of our population in this valley. You know, we're looking at over 500,000 people here in the next 20 to 30 years. We cannot survive if we are fighting one another. I've lived in both of those areas. I've lived in Glendale and I've lived in Lancaster, and I saw all of that back and forth, jockeying for money, and it's deadly. It's just deadly. We have to get past this, and we have to demonstrate again that our government is open, responsive, and accountable, and that comes with communication and dialogue.
Thank you very much, candidate Diane Troutman. Now to candidate Lori Ender. Where do you stand on the possible annexation of unincorporated areas west of the I-5?
Well, the buzzword that you hear associated with this is self-determination. We're always hearing that the residents should be able to determine where they reside, whether it's unincorporated, whether it's their own city, or whether it's part of Santa Clarita. My concern is that the residents really haven't been given a chance to speak up, to talk about it. They haven't been touched. A lot of this discussion has gone on between a governing body elected by even probably fewer people than are on the governing body to make that decision on the west side of the freeway. And when I go out and talk to people, I mean, I look at our school districts cross the freeway. Our Chamber of Commerce crosses the freeway. So much of what we do, we are all encompassing. I mean, Valencia crosses the freeway. People don't realize, well, why don't I live in Santa Clarita? What can I do to live in Santa Clarita? And I'm constantly surprised at what a terrible job of outreach they've done, letting those people know where things stand and why they are the way they are. If self-determination is the goal, and if that's what we want to see happen, let it be done with full disclosure and all the information that can possibly be had guiding their decision. I agree with what everybody said. We are better. We are one valley, one vision. I think one city. I think that's where it should go. If they are going to determine, I hope that it's with as much information as they can give. I am pleased that the dialogue is open between the city and between those members of the governing body there. I hope that that continues, but I certainly would like to push Los Angeles County to speed up the process on the reports that we are all waiting for so that we don't leave those residents hanging.
Okay, thank you very much. That was candidate Lori Ender. And Maria Goodside. Would you like to address this question? Where do you stand on the possible annexation of unincorporated areas west of the I-5?
Thanks. Let's cut to the chase here. As an elected official with one of our water districts, I've already dealt with the Local Agency Formation Commission, or LAFCO. I just saw Jerry Gladback, who actually serves on the LAFCO board and lives in our community, out in the audience here. And there's a process to annexations. And to be blunt, the issue is that we have landowners that are essentially a bridge that are blocking the people that want to come in because they're unwilling to come in. These landowners are midway through the permitting process. They don't want to lose the time and money investment that they've spent going through permitting with the county. So they want to finish their process in the county, and then they don't really care if they annex, but right now they do care. So I'm all for finding solutions and bringing people together. We've also had a lot of homeowners in the Hasley Hills area that did go around and collect petitions, tons of signatures. I can't imagine the hours they were out there doing it. We need to find a solution. We've already had outreach. I was at a meeting in Castaic at the school out there. Both sides present great arguments. Nobody knows what's going on. We know the city is great, and we should help them move along. We should grandfather in the people that are midway through the permitting process. We have no influence on them now. We're going to have no influence on them. So grandfather them in. Let the homeowners that want to come in and enjoy a local government come in sooner rather than later. It's not about reports. It's not about working with the county. This is a technical issue, working with LAFCO. We've got the signatures of the homeowners. They can come in sooner rather than later if we work with all the landowners involved.
Thank you very much.